If you were working with Laravel 4, you know that we had a concept called filters, and we used to have a file called filters.php. But today with Laravel 5, especially Laravel 5.1, we no longer have that concept. But we have something called middleware. Middleware is something between every request and response cycle, sits in there and prevents hacker from hacking your system. For example, we have different kind of middleware, say authenticate, we have encrypt cookies, we have redirect if authenticated. We have also CSRF token or verify CSRF token. And all of these middlewares are by default used with Laravel 5. But if you want to generate a new middleware, what you can do is actually go to the terminal, and let's clear here, and issue this command: php artisan make middleware my middleware. If you were working with Laravel 4, you no longer had to type PHP, but in Laravel 5 you can use php artisan. And then the name of the middleware is really important. It has to be camel case, and let's hit enter. And let's say it says middleware created successfully. Let's go back to this middleware and see that we have my middleware right here. As you can see, the foundation of any middleware is the handle method right here. Let's open up this method, and we have two kind of parameters. We have request, which is illuminate request object, and the next right here, which is an anonymous closure or anonymous function that runs a request through the rest of the middleware stack. So how do I use this middleware? There are two primary ways to bind middlewares in Laravel 5. Both start with this file right here, kernel.php. And you'll notice that this new kernel class has two properties: middleware and route middleware. Both are array of middlewares. The middleware in run, this one, runs on every request, and the middlewares in the second one right here have to be enabled before you can use it. So these are running by default in every request you generate, and you can use it. I'm going to show you how to use it. If you want to add new middleware or running a middleware on every request, you can come down here. I'm going to paste a code right here, and let's separate it with comma, because all of this is separated by comma. You notice that I put this kind of code inside this single quotation. You can actually use that, or if you don't want to use that, you can put a backslash before that, and let's just keep it that way if you want. But now it will run on every request. Anything you put inside this my middleware, which actually has got nothing at the moment, it will use inside every middleware. Okay, let's move our custom middleware to the option stack with a key. So how to do that? We come down here, let's copy this and then paste on the top. Say auth app http middleware authenticate class, right? Then we can say middleware, and say let's put a different name. Let's say absurt, then app http middleware. Let's say middleware, my middleware. Let's just copy this because it's easier. I'm kind of lazy. And then come down here, paste it right here. I've noticed we have to use double colon class at the end of this every some kind of middleware that we have, because it's actually showing you that you're using a class, and that's something new in Laravel 5.1. Previously we didn't need to use this, but now we need it. So how do I add this middleware to my route file? If you name this route middleware right here, you copy this name, and then this is the optional, right? Applications route middleware, right? And let's go back to the route, and then let's add to this get right here. After the path, before your closure, let's before the closure add a comma and then an array, or let's type an array like old ways. And inside an array, you can use two keys and values inside the single quotation. The first is going to be middleware, and then the second is going to be your name of the middleware you're using. Obviously, we're not using our middleware which we created, but we're using authentication. This will going to redirect us to the authentication page, which doesn't exist. So it's going to generate an error, but you can see that the URL is changing. Let's refresh, and it says authentication login. Let's change it to another name of the middleware. Let's say authentication basic or auth basic, right? And then let's come back here. Let's remove this authentication and let's hit enter, and then you can see that the basic authentication PHP comes up, and that's how you can use middleware. So what this means is, if you want to go to the welcome page, you need to authenticate, and because this is using authentication basic, that's why you are seeing the simple PHP authentication, which I even hit login is going to say invalid credentials because there is no credentials used in this project. Before we finish this video, I want to mention that we have a basic concept called before and after middleware, which is based on whether the middleware's actions happen before or after the request is passed. So we have a function we have a class called before middleware implements middleware. So let's open up one of these middlewares. We have class authenticate. Well, if you want to use this, I'm not gonna make a presentation for you, but let's say we have a class called before middleware, right? And then we have which implements what middleware. Let's say we have another class called middleware, and then inside this we're gonna have a handle function exactly like the middleware we generated. And the second thing is actually opposite of this, after middleware. So instead of before, we have after. So both of these before and after middlewares, like I said, is based on whether the middleware's action happens before the request or after the request. So if anything happens before the request, this is going to trigger, and then anything happen after it, this is going to be triggered. So I hope you enjoy this really simple concept of middleware, which is actually replaced instead of filters in Laravel 4.